Welcome back, everybody, to the 18th.
Is she all there? Like, mentally?
I think so. He's just an odd guy. It's kind of weird.
I mean, should we be worried?
No. No.
Welcome back, everybody, to the 1817 Project. I'm your host, James Bennett, and today we are going to talk about abortion. Yay! Abortion.
Yeah, boy.
A topic that is still very, very highly politicized for obvious reasons. But today we're going to break it down to the bare minimum. Maybe we've learned something, maybe we can figure something out. I don't know. Let's see what happens.
I don't like it. It's too much responsibility.
What is the length of a typical pregnancy? Let's get into it. A typical pregnancy lasts 40 weeks or 280 days when calculated from the first day of the last menstrual period, LMP. Because this method includes the 2 weeks prior to conception, the actual duration from fertilization is approximately 38 weeks. Full term. A pregnancy is considered full term between 39 weeks and 40 weeks. Normal range. Most babies are born between 37 and 42 weeks. Calendar months, while commonly referred to as a 9-month, a 40-week pregnancy is actually closer to 9 months and 1 week or 10 calendar months. Okay, sweet. So 40 weeks, typical pregnancy. Cool.
Nice.
Just another detail that I'm about to look up into this debate of abortion. Just follow with me. What is an umbilical cord? And what's its purpose? The umbilical cord is a flexible coiled tube that acts as the lifeline between a developing fetus and the placenta during pregnancy. It typically grows to be about 19 to 23 inches and contains 3 blood cells, 1 vein that carries oxygen-rich blood and nutrients from the placenta to the baby, and 2 arteries that carry waste products and deoxygenated blood back to the placenta. The cord is surrounded by a protective gel-like substance called Horton's jelly,
That's disgusting!
which cushions the blood vessels against compression and twisting as the fetus moves. After birth, the cord is clamped and cut, leaving a stump that dries up and falls off within 1 to 3 weeks, leaving behind the baby's belly button, the fetus's lifeline from the mother to the fetus that is currently growing. Okay, another little tidbit, which I think we all know the answer to this. Can a fetus survive without the umbilical cord? No, a fetus cannot survive without the umbilical cord during pregnancy. The umbilical cord is the essential lifeline that transports oxygen and nutrients from the placenta to the developing baby while removing waste products. It acts as a substitute for lung and digestive function until birth. Consciousness of loss. Without the connection, the baby is deprived of oxygen and nutrients, leading to fatal distress, developmental delays, or stillbirth. So the next thing, I know this is widely debated because the fetus, when it's, the human species, once it's in that process of growing and developing, is that fetus technically a parasite? I know this more or less comes from Democrats and liberals, that they view that whenever that fetus is growing inside the mother, that essentially it is a parasite because it's feeding off the mother, and without the mother, it cannot survive. Based off what we just read, if that umbilical cord, something happened to it, and it lost its lifeline, that fetus would inevitably die and become a stillbirth. So in essence, yes, during pregnancy, the fetus very much relies on the mother in order to survive. But now we're going to break down, is that fetus technically a parasite?
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my rag.
What is a parasite? And this is coming from CDC, doctors, other sources. A parasite is an organism that lives on or inside another organism, known as a host, to obtain nutrients and survive, often causing harm in the process. Unlike predators, parasites are typically smaller than their hosts and rarely kill them immediately, as they depend on the host for long-term survival. Parasites are generally categorized in three main classes: protozoa, microscopic single-celled organisms like Giardia and Plasmodium, which can multiply within the human body. Man, I'm not gonna lie, I need Hooked on Phonics because that was a struggle.
What an idiot! Oh, what a loser!
But okay, a fetus definitely isn't a protozoa, because basically it says which can multiply within the human body, so it can like multiply and grow within the host. Okay. Helimonillus.
I'm a snake.
Multicellular worms such as tapeworms, roundworms, and flukies. Flukies? Yeah, sure. Which are often visible to the naked eye in their adult stages. Okay, clearly a fetus is none of those things. Parasites, organisms like lice, fleas, ticks, and mice that live on the surface of the host and may transmit other diseases. Okay, so per the fetus, based off what a parasite is, and it looks like there are generally three main classes of a parasite. So if we had to choose which one a fetus more or less lined up with the most, I mean, technically none of them. Obviously, the only one that kind of makes sense is the protozoa, Protozoa. Microscopic single-celled organisms which can multiply within the human body. Okay, see, that doesn't make any sense either. Okay. Transmission occurs through various routes, including contaminated food and water, insect vectors like mosquitoes, direct contact, or sexual contact. While some infections are easily treated, others can cause severe symptoms ranging from digestive issues to neurological damage. Well, these are the three main categories, and a fetus does not fall within any of those categories. So to call it a parasite, just looking at the facts and evidence, I believe is a little bit of a stretch. The main thing that Democrats and liberals hang on to is that it's living within its host, and without its host, it couldn't survive. Kind of get the argument they're trying to make, but it's to me, it is a little bit of a stretch to call it a parasite just based off what we know about actual parasites. The other thing I want to find out, what's the earliest that a fetus can survive outside of the womb? The earliest recorded fetus to survive outside the womb is Citrus Keithmans, who was born at 21 weeks and 1 day on July 5th, 2020 at the University of Alabama at Birmingham Hospital. He was officially recognized by Guinness World Records as the youngest premature infant to survive, defying a less than 1% chance of survival and spending 275 days in the intensive care unit before being discharged. 5 months, give or take. So at 5 months, that's the earliest recorded that a fetus could technically survive outside the womb. Now what I want to learn and find out, what methods of abortion are used today? This is going to get a little dark. Possibly. Okay, here we go. So as it stands today, there are two primary methods of abortion. Let's see. Medical abortion, also known as the abortion pill. This non-surgical method uses medications to terminate a pregnancy. It typically involves a two-step regimen of mifepristone,
I don't know what you're saying.
which blocks Genestrun. Oh my gosh, dude, I can't. 24 to 48 hours. This method is FDA approved for use up to 10 weeks. It allows the pregnancy to pass at home and is approximately 95 to 97% effective. Procedural abortion, also called in-clinic or surgical abortion, that involves a healthcare provider using instruments to empty the uterus. There are two main types: vacuum.
I'm freaking out, man.
The most common procedure using gentle suction to remove pregnancy tissue. It is typically performed in the first trimester, generally up to 14 to 16 weeks, and it is over 99% effective. Okay, so this is up to 14, 16 weeks. Dilation and evacuation, used for second trimester abortion, typically after 16 weeks. This procedure involves dilating the cervix and using suction combined with medical instruments to remove the pregnancy tissue. It is the most prevalent second trimester method in the US and carries a low risk of complication, less than 1 in 1,000. After 16 weeks, yeah, between 10 and 16 weeks, typically they're saying is what you want to aim for if you do decide to get an abortion. Anything after 16 weeks, it's a little bit more that goes into it. This is what I want to know now. What is the earliest detection of a heartbeat, brain waves? When do fingers, toes, and everything start to actually form? The earliest recorded heartbeat occurs approximately 22 to 23 days after fertilization, which equals out to about 5 weeks and 1 to 2 days, with electronical signals appearing as early as 18 days post-conception. The earliest recorded brain waves have been detected via deep needle electrodes at 43 to 45 days post-conception, approximately 6 weeks and 1 to 3 days. Irregular heart activity. Irregular twitches begin around 18 days after conception. Organized pumping starts at 22 to 23 days. Ultrasound detection. A arrhythmia heartbeat can consistently be detected via transvaginal ultrasound at 5.5 to 6 weeks. So at the earliest for a heartbeat is 5 weeks in a couple days. That's just over a month. That's early. 5 months is the earliest it can survive outside the womb. 5 weeks, a little over a month, you can actually start to detect a heartbeat, brain waves, etc. We know that it can't survive without the umbilical cord attached while it's inside the womb and currently growing. The question I want to ask now, how long would it take for a newborn to die outside of the womb without care? Newborns cannot survive for any significant length of time outside the womb without medical care. Babies born before the age of viability, like development lungs and other vital organs, typically survive only minutes to hours without advanced medical care. Per viable, 22 to 25 weeks. While survival is possible with intensive support, without it, mortality is nearly universal due to respiratory failure and inability to regulate body temperature or feed. Viable, 26 plus weeks. Older premature infants may survive longer without immediate intervention, but still face life-threatening risks regarding breathing, infection, and feeding within the first few days. So basically, this is saying that when it's born, basically, this is saying if you take a ripe baby, son, just ripe, goopy baby, and it's fresh out of the womb, and you take that baby and set it on the ground or throw it up against a wall. At most, with no care whatsoever, that baby, if it went the full 40 weeks of pregnancy, that baby has maybe maybe without any other outside factors, can last up 2 days at most, a day or two at most on its own. So this leads me to my question for Democrats and liberals. And maybe you can answer this, leave your comments down below. Republicans and conservatives do the same. Here's my question. Democrats and liberals, you say that while it's in the womb, it's a parasite because it cannot survive without its host. It's growing, it's one of us, it's the human species, it's currently going through the process of getting its DNA, of getting its fingers, toes, brainwaves, heartbeat, everything, its features, and then eventually it will be born. And you're saying it's a parasite because it can't live without the mother. But my question is, most of you, not all of you, but most people on the left say that it's a parasite. Okay, so when it's born outside the womb with no intervention whatsoever, if you just leave that baby on a table, it'll only survive a day or two. But when it's outside the womb, you say it's no longer a parasite, it's actually a human being. It's actually a life, a person, male, female. It is a officially living thing and no longer a parasite because it's not relying on the mother. The catch-22 in that, per se, is it still needs the mother to survive. And based off the purest definition that most Democrats and liberals give, would you still say then technically it's still a parasite? It just morphs into a different parasite because it still can't survive without the mother. Now, technically, you can flip that or spin that and say, of course, a complete stranger could take care of that baby if it found it on the table, or a doctor could step in, or anybody, any other human being could step in and give it the care that it needs. But what I'm talking about specifically is it is stated that while it's going through the growing process within the womb, it's a parasite because it relies on the host to survive. But outside the womb, it becomes part of the human species. It's actually a person, but yet it still relies on the mother to survive. You know, getting its nutrients and milk from the breast of the mother and the woman. So would then that still mean for your concept to work that it is a parasite within the womb? That would still mean it's a parasite outside of the womb. There are three main categories of a parasite. There's ones that live within the host, and there are ones that live on the outside of the host, but still feeds on its host to survive, even the parasites who live on the external of the host that is currently latched onto. So basically, for you to say it's a parasite within the womb, then in order to hold that argument, you then have to agree it's still a parasite outside the womb, and it's still not technically a human being. So when does it officially become a human being, part of the human species? Is it when it can officially survive on its own, which, I don't know, I'd give you maybe age 6 and up. Technically, I mean, maybe even age 5, they can get a glass of water. They can technically eat on their own. So from age 5 and up, it's officially a human being, but everything before that, it still very much relies on guidance and nutrients from the mother to survive. And I'm a student learning. I'm still learning every day, diving into all these topics, and hopefully along this journey, you know, we can finally come to a consensus and hopefully build unity, because I still believe that intellectuals can actually have a conversation and not a debate. It's all political theater. It's all very much tribalistic and dogmatic. Leave your comments down below, or leave your hateful comments down below. I expect them.
You suck!
You know, like I said, it's still an ongoing war between the left and the right. I try to stay impartial. I don't want to be involved. I'm just simply trying to navigate and understand both sides, but also understand myself and study on my own and come to my own conclusions, but also look at why there's such a vast difference. This is the 1817 Project, here to have a conversation and not a debate. Let me know what you think about the comments down below. And yeah, thanks for watching.